Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Here we go. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the City Commission, Monday, October the 14th, 2024. The time is 5:30 p.m. If you'd please rise for the invocation and pledge. Heavenly Father, we ask that you watch over this group tonight, that you help us to make good decisions for the city of Leesburg. We do this in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening we have one proclamation. Whereas Orlando Health's Air Care Team is Central Florida's only airborne emergency transport unit that provides life-saving care to pediatric and adult population, and whereas first established in October 13th, 1984 with a single aircraft program located on a downtown Orlando campus, the Air Care Team has grown to 4 aircraft program strategically positioned around the region, servicing more than 15 counties. And whereas the Air Care Team ensures safety is a top priority and has flown over 2 million accident/incident-free miles, with their team having an average of 20 years of experience. And whereas when every second counts, the Air Care Team provides advanced medical and critical care bedside, on scene, or in flight, and has transported over 45,000 patients. And whereas the Air Care Team consists of over 90 team members, nurses, paramedics, pilots, mechanics, emergency medical technicians, and communication specialists, ensuring services are available when called upon. And whereas for several years, Leesburg International Airport has been a base for an Air Care Team providing services to our community, and whereas this year, on October the 13th, 2024, the Air Care Team is celebrating their 40th anniversary of servicing the Central Florida region. Now, therefore, I, James A. Burry, Jr., Mayor of the City of Leesburg, Florida, do hereby proclaim and recognize the importance of the emergency services provided by the Orlando Health Air Care Team and offer congratulations on their 40th anniversary. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
We'll move on to our presentations. Item 3, we have a presentation from the Leesburg CDC update.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. John Christian, the Executive Director of the Community Development Corporation of Leesburg Incorporated. I guess a few meetings ago, the Commission asked for an update from the CDC. So tonight we're here to give you an update, a request, and answer any questions you may have in regards to the Leesburg CDC Incorporated. First, I'd like to just mention that the Leesburg CDC, I don't think our board of directors, a couple are not on the picture, but the CDC, our official name is the Community Development Corporation of Leesburg Incorporated. There's no such thing as East Leesburg CDC, Leesburg East. It's the Leesburg Community Development Corporation of Leesburg Incorporated. Initially, it was a corporation of Leesburg and vicinity. When the board members in 1997, they were concerned not just about Leesburg, but Okahumpka, Yalaha, and Lisbon. So we have 3 employees. Ms. Jones, who was there from the beginning in 1997, she's still there, hanging in there with me. She's the keeper of our records. And just so the commission knows that the CDC submits a report every year since 1998 to receive CRA funding. So if you want to know what we do submit that every year. So that is there. Doing the Pine Street renovations, the CDC reduced all business owners' rent in half, some to actually zero. Some months that they had a hard time, costing the CDC about $40,000 in revenue that we should have received, but we want to make sure our business owners stayed afoot. 2024, we purchased 2 duplexes on East Street at a cost of $280,000. We did that with cash. That prepared us for the Floyd Lane development, which will add 2 additional duplexes. We hired a land planning group to create a conceptual plan. And in Carver Heights, we have constructed 3 brand new homes, each valued at about $310,000 each, a cost of estimated value of $900,000 that we just did this year. We complete the renovations of 945 East Main Street, a commercial building, at $50,000 renovation, labor, and $8,000 in material. While many people think that because we're a nonprofit, we don't pay taxes, we paid $26,561 in taxes, insurance of $49,072, maintenance and repair $46,072, utilities at a cost of $25,534. Oftentimes, we can't brag about what we do as an organization, but we also gave $10,000 to local nonprofits. One of our local churches was under code enforcement indictment on a roof. They needed help. We gave them $5,000 to repair their roof so they can get under the arm of code enforcement. So we are pretty excited about what the CDC is doing, and me talking doesn't give you the full example. So I'm asking our helper. I can do it here? I can do it here? So we're going to just... All right, so this is No Place. This is what we acquired. It was under the city of Leesburg code enforcement at about almost $900,000. The CDC purchased these properties with the help of the city of Leesburg, relieving the code enforcement. One of the local residents, instead of them losing the property, the CDC actually gave over 6 figures, $150,000 to that owner so that they did not walk away with anything. So this property had raw sewage running down Snow Place. The CDC purchased those 3 triplexes. We purchased them, renovated them, made them look new and livable, and rent goes for $1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And we do that to make sure that they stay affordable and people can have a decent place to live here in Leesburg. This is Pine Street. In 2020, the city of Leesburg partnered with the CDC. They brought the property from us across the street where the pool, the aquatic center is located now. We took the $350,000 and we bought everything on the other side of Pine Street. This is the second restaurant you'll hear about a little later, the interior renovation that we've done. This is what it looked like when we purchased it, and this is what it looks like now. This is the Pine Street Lounge, what it was when we purchased it. This is the candle shop, what it was. And this is what it looks like now. This was the business incubator, CDC. Then and now we have 2 businesses, Kingdom Garden and Security Service, and another clothing shop inside that building. This is the Floyd Lane property, East Street property that we purchased for $280,000. Of course, this is the board of directors doing our groundbreaking in Carver Heights. And I'm trying to hurry because I got a lot of slides. In 2022, when the city of Leesburg, and I want to commend our city manager and the staff commission at that time, because that's when the COVID funds came in. We took out of the $750,000, $550,000. We knew that Pine Street was so important. We took $500,000. Had $450,000 left. We took $100,000. We had a CDC cash, and we purchased the other block on Pine Street. That's what it looked like then. As you can see, people actually lived in those places. We created the Betty Stevens Coney Business Center of Excellence, signage that we paid for to put out front to make Pine Street look just like any other business quarter in Leesburg. And these are business owners who came to Leesburg believing in the CDC vision and Pine Street. This is what it looks like now with a little facial. It looks a little better with the signage. This is the inside of what used to be living quarters. Now is for business owners that can have small business incubators on Pine Street, creates 4 of those. This is on the end corner of Pine Street, which is now home of Sanders Cleaning Services, which CDC renovate. And this is the inside of Mr. Sanders' cleaning service. This is Mike Street, which was a barber shop and flower shop. After we renovated it, this is what the inside looks like, a little furniture and painted. This is our first chairman, Reverend Arthur Middleton, Bishop Middleton. This is Heritage Estates, and I put this on because I need you to realize where the CDC came from, what Leesburg had in our city. See, these are outhouses. This was probably maybe 2000 that they built these outhouses. Were still in Leesburg in the year 2000. This is the Main Street building that used to be a nightclub. The CDC renovated it, paid $68,000 in 2020. We used some of the COVID funds to renovate it this year, $50,000 labor, $8,000 material. This is what it looked like inside. This is what it looks like now. This is bathrooms, quarter. This is the foyer coming in, then and now, side by side. This was the kitchen. We removed it to make new office space. U.S. Health donated the facility, our office that we had used to be the police CID building. We believe this is kind of the partnership that the federal consent decree talks about, where the hospital partnered with the CDC and donated the building for our office space. These are our apartments on Snow Place, going for $950, and I know you can find another place for $950. These are the homes that we're building on Harlem Avenue. These are all 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses. Some of you were there at our ribbon cutting. This is 220 Harlem, kitchen, bathrooms, and this is what home ownership does. This is on George Avenue. This is our newest homeowner. She was out raking her yard after the hurricane. If she would not have lived in that home, that debris would have continued to be on that lot. So this is one of the things we really believe in home ownership, because it creates value and pride in our communities. So real quick, future capital projects, the second restaurant on Pine Street. That's what we're working on now. That'll be in 2025. We'll create a second restaurant, continue development of Snow Place. Right now we have 3 triplexes, and we're looking on a 5-acre tract, potential for more multifamily development or single-family development, to build out a Floyd Lane, add 2 duplex, waiting on the city to approve duplex or quadplex. That'll be in 2025. We did get lots donated by the city of Leesburg on Child Street, and we are preparing a conceptual plan of what would be the best and highest use for that property. We'll continue our single-family construction throughout the city of Leesburg through infill housing. Once again, we look and ask for the city of Leesburg to continue to partner. Some of the community empowerment things that we do, we provide financial literacy. We have a grant from PNC Bank, home ownership education. What we found out and realized through building of homes that many people in our community are far away from the education of how to become a homeowner. Ms. Betty Coney is here. She's the spearhead of our People's Brunch, where we do a monthly brunch where over 100 seniors show up, and they get information, they get knowledge, fellowship with each other to bring them out of the house. The CDC's been doing that now 3 years, something like that. Maybe longer than that. 7 years? 7 years we've been doing a People's Brunch every month. We do thank the city of Leesburg for partnering with us for the People's Brunch. So now you ask, what are our expectations from our city? A continued partnership that continues to add stability to the most vulnerable areas of your city. Our Leesburg CRA, the Mount Clair Carver Heights, and those vulnerable areas. We ask the city to adhere to the federal consent decree and provide necessary resources and capacity building opportunities for the CDC. This is easy, and I think it's important that the city commission show up to city CDC activities and events, just like you show up for other partner events throughout the city. Many times we have events, and I hate to say it, but many of you commissions don't show up. We call, you don't return our phone calls. My secretary calls, you don't call. But I look on Facebook and I see you at everybody else's event. So we're saying we are an important part of our city, and we expect that our commissioners understand they represent the entire city. So we got 5 requests. Request number 1, and I'm gonna ask that the commission will help Al and Grant to meet with the CDC, because we have some things we would like to request. Number 1, request that the Central Business District be expanded to include Pine Street. Number 2, request that 3 requested residential lots be donated to the CDC as soon as possible in accordance to page 6, subsection B in your consent decree. We gave you a copy of what the city should be doing, which says that the city should back initiatives formulated by the CDC. And being that the city has already donated property to Habitat, we think that this is kind of something that should be normal. And with the federal consent decree, we think it should not be an ask. It's something that the city should want to do, as you see what we built in Carver Heights. We also request that $50,000 from the Greater Leesburg CRA for the build out of a commercial kitchen per page 7, subsection 12 of the federal consent decree, which states that the CDC feels the city has additional funding, that we could ask for that funding. If the city disagrees, then we have a meeting to discuss the funding, and you have some money that you rolled over from the CRA that you didn't spend 2 years ago, which means you may not need it. So we're asking for $50,000. We also ask that we have the same ordinance that you just passed last meeting, that the City of Leesburg amending the City Code Ordinance, Chapter 5, Section 5.6, consumption of open containers. We would like Pine Street to be an open container spot when our restaurants open, and allowing us open, that people can interact between the 2 restaurants without having to worry about open container. We also built the house, and this is where we need Al and Grant to talk to us, because we think on page 6, subsection F, where it says the city will seek reasonable development activities and products of the CDC to support those, including appropriate and necessary infrastructure. And we were building a house on Harlem. We ran into a problem with infrastructure. Al was so gracious, and Cliff, they sent the city workers out to find the tap. It took, first the city identified the tap. Our plumber dug probably about 10 feet for 2 days, couldn't find the tap. City came out, they did find the tap after they dug, found the right spot to dig in. So Al said, John, I got the charge. So he charged me $2,610.61. We feel that, looking at the consent decree, that the city should provide necessary infrastructure. So we request that we get that money back from the city. Also, we had an issue in Carver Heights with flooding. And I know that's been an ongoing issue. And the city did the Berry Park, which were 2 retention ponds on McCormick and Berry, that it still floods. We also request that the city use the $300,000 you have in the CRA funding. That's extra. That's a rollover. One ideal I think you can do, there's 3 acres of land on Stinson for $140,000. You can buy it, make this a stormwater project, and use the CRA funds to alleviate the flooding as soon as possible. So we have 13 residential units ranging from 400 to 950, and 18 commercial units ranging from $650 to $1,800. That's all I have for tonight. Any questions you may have for me? I know I gave y'all a lot, but y'all asked me to come, so I came.
Pastor Christian, good evening. Thank you for your presentation. Can you go back through your requests that you would like for the city? You went pretty fast.
Okay.
You couldn't make notes. Do you have it noted that you could provide copies?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I got some Scrabble on it, but I can get you a copy.
Okay.
And really, I think it's a perception of, and I must say, while I was a commissioner, we didn't bring out the federal consent decree because Al Minner did a phenomenal job of adding to the CDC's request. We didn't talk about it. The city donated code enforced houses that were in bad shape. We fixed them up, we sold them, and we did business because the CDC was actively working. I must say, I hope and pray that it's not an adversarial approach from the CDC in the city, because we should be partners, because we are charged with getting rid of blight out of the worst areas of our city. And, I feel we have done a very phenomenal job the last few years. And we expect, seriously, the same participation and cooperation that you give other nonprofits. I mean, my community has to come out, pack the room out. Other groups, they come in, they get whatever they want with 2 people, and I just think that this body needs to really understand, give the city manager, whether you agree or not. And it talks about the consent decree. If you read it, it talks about the city will support the planning and zoning applications of the CDC. That doesn't mean you rubber stamp it, but you shouldn't be voting against planning and zoning activities of the CDC per your consent decree. And that's why we like to sit down with Grant, because I have documents for 2005 when Fred Morrison gave his opinion on the CDC and the CRA's relationship. So I would really like our city attorney and city manager to sit down with the CDC so that we can be on the same page when we bring requests to the city, that we don't have to get up here and argue about things that we think are really in black and white. And so I would really like if our city manager, city attorney can sit down with us, because we do have some requests that we think that will that mirror what's happening downtown Leesburg.
May I add, as commissioner for District 1, may I be included in that meeting
Yes,
so that I
ma'am.
can sit down as well and know what's going on?
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
got a wealth of information, and I thank you for sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
But there's a lot I did not know.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if you would include me, I really would appreciate it, and I'm ready to work with the CDC of Community
Leesburg.
CDC of Leesburg.
Yes,
excuse me,
ma'am.
I'm still saying the wrong ones, as well as the CDC for Carver Heights and Montclair.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Any other questions? My last one, before I sit down, people ask all the time, why do we have two CDCs? We have two CDCs because of the federal consent decree that states that if another CDC was created, they would get $30,000 for 10 years. So I petitioned the federal lawyers for another CDC. So that's how the CDC West was started with $30,000 for 10 years, because it's in the federal consent decree. And we were working together as one until some things happened. And so they had to branch off and do their own thing with their own bank account. So if you go back and check the records, initially, this CDC of Leesburg held all the funds until some things happened and they had to use their funds the way they wanted to use, because it kind of got a little hectic. But I wasn't there at that time when they branched out. But that's why we have two CDCs of Leesburg per the federal consent decree. Thank you for listening. Thank you for having us. And please just return our calls. That's all we ask. Thank you for your support.
We have a presentation for America in Bloom.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, esteemed commission members. Cliff Kelsey, Director of Public Works, and I'm just going to give a brief intro to the America in Bloom program. So let me get situated just a second. Could you bring up the... So a little bit over a year ago, Public Works was tasked with looking into the America in Bloom program. So this is just kind of a update at where we're at and what the program's about. So America in Bloom, it's a nationwide program, and it recognizes cities for beautification efforts in educating the community in flowers, horticulture, trees, and it just looks at communities getting together and improving their surroundings and the quality of life for the residents. All right, so can you click the next one, Anna, please? Or what do I hit on here? Okay. Yes, please. So a quick overview. This is the organization's vision and their mission. I'm not going to read it verbatim. But like I said, it's all about the education and the beautification of your surroundings. And it really thrives with community participation. Next slide, please. So how does it work? So it's a 3-step program. Level 1, activate your community. That is what Public Works did. We filled out the forms, we paid the initiation fee, and now we're at a point where they sent us this lovely plaque, which we can hang in the chambers. And they've also sent us a nice sign that we'll most likely place in Town Square per city manager's discretion. So level 2, the second step, is build your community. So far, there's been a few plank owners of this program, and it's been Commissioner Alan Reisman, myself, and Miss Sandy Moore from the Chamber of Commerce. We've pushed this about as far as we can go. Just internally, we've gone to the meetings, we've educated ourselves on it, and we have brainstorming ideas. We had a lunch today to discuss some initiatives and topics we'd like to push forward with it. So we need to take it to the next step. Next slide. And this is the who. So what I found is most cities have what they call a beautification board, made up of volunteers, and city staff will definitely support and be the action arm of it, do the heavy lifting, but to drive the community spirit and the volunteer and to really make the program thrive, that's where we feel this program needs to go. Next slide. So why do we want to do this? So improve quality of life for the residents. There's economic benefits. Downtown, when downtown looks beautiful, a lot of people want to go there and patronize the merchants down there. There's community pride, improved ecosystems, and just all in all, community engagement. So, next slide, please. Recommendations from Public Works and the plank owners of the American Bloom program is establish a beautification board comprised of volunteers and city staff. City will act as the action arm for executing the initiatives and the projects that improve our standing throughout the city and in American and Bloom program. And then we work separately or together, and we just do good things to make the city more beautiful than it already is. And last slide. Before we go to the questions, I'll let Miss Sandy Moore say a little bit. And as we were talking today, we feel the city of Leesburg is already doing a lot of these initiatives. We're already planting flowers in downtown Main Street. We do the annuals every quarter. And there's a lot of things that we just need to take the credit for. We're doing, but let's take it to the next level, get the credit, and bring the city of Leesburg to national stage.
Hi. As Cliff said, I think that the city has done an incredible job. And one of the things, as we're going to these meetings and listening to the other cities and different cities that have adopted this program, it actually made me even more proud of our city and what we've already been doing when it comes to all of the downtown and the different parks that we have, the beautification efforts that have happened. And I think one of the main things is going to be inventorying where we already are doing really great things, and really promoting it more and advertising it more as a destination for people to be able to come and see different types of gardens. Like the library has a butterfly garden, and you have Borley Park, and you have obviously the Venetian gardens. Even our cemetery is absolutely, Tavares had to redo their cemetery because they had allowed it to really get run down. And we have a beautiful cemetery thanks to our city and the private investment that's gone on in there. So I think this is just an incredible program for us to be a part of, and it allows us to identify people who really have a passion for this type of things to see. I was talking to someone on the phone earlier today who really has a passion for seeing us do a community garden with everybody with the food insecurities and different people, to have a garden like that and to be able to teach people how to grow their own food and have a place where people can even harvest food from a community garden that the city has. So this is just a program that I think that the city is going to benefit from and will continue to do really great things with.
All right, any questions?
For this growing communities, is it just for the city of Leesburg? Could it be at each entrance of a community where we have our city signs introducing where you
Absolutely.
are entering?
Yes, ma'am.
Could that be considered as a spot of planting flowers at each location where we're identifying each part of the community?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. We've actually, city manager and I actually talked about doing that, and he was tasking me with it. I was like, hey, this might be a good initiative for the American Bloom once we stand it up, to go to the community signs and do something to beautify them and improve the look of that and grow the community. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank Sandy and Cliff for their hard work on this and their dedication. I think this will be really good. And it's not just for downtown. This is for all of our city, every part of our city. And if the commission would feel okay about it, would we be open to having people apply to be on the committee and then establishing the rules like we do our other boards and then move from there? Because I know between Sandy and a couple other people, there's a lot of people that have shown interest or we can appoint people. But I think if you get people that actually apply, they'll have a more better interest in it.
Sandy may not speak to me again after this, but my idea is maybe a committee under the chamber. Just an idea. Just one.
That's kind of we talked about
okay.
because the beautification and the business aspect of it. That's why Sandy being involved in it. Would you be open to that, Sandy? Sure. Being it under the chamber?
Thanks.
One more thing.
A question, would it have to be appointed from the city appointing people or just volunteers who want to work with them? I mean, how many on a board? How would you establish? I mean, could it be whoever would like to volunteer?
I think anyone can volunteer for the initiatives, but like the committee who would pick the projects, go from there, things like that would be.
I'm saying you want to allow people to volunteer for the board. I'm referencing the board.
So like they would apply, like volunteer for it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that Andy would put an application out, and then people could apply for it, and it would be under the chamber.
I'm in favor of it. My only concern would be that potentially by just allowing anybody that applies, we may become heavily vested in one community and not the entire city. So I think it's kind of important that that membership on the deciding part of that board is.
Well, we can make it so they have to come back to us for a final decision for approval.
I mean, I want every community to have
equal
have a say
all over.
if we're going to do it.
Yep.
Any other comments?
Did you come in here with the intention of putting it under the chamber? Was that something discussed? Okay.
No.
Okay.
We didn't discuss it at lunch. No.
Okay.
I mean, under the chamber's umbrella, but over the city oversight. Yeah.
So is this something we need to establish by ordinance?
It might be. So we'll come back with you. We probably,
I think
Have
it
to
is.
have
We've
some-
got, we have the committees and advisory boards and everything in the code. So we'll take a look at the procedures.
I- Try to tune it like everything, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. At this point, we'll move on to item 4, public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and would you please give your name and your address when you come up?
I'm so happy the chamber is packed tonight for what I got to say. Because, all right, Murray Tucker, Lone Oak Cemetery Board of Trustees. Coming up in a few days on the 24th is our annual Moonlight Tour again. So we're opening up the cemetery at 5:30 at night. We have lots of prizes, help raise some money because we need all the help we could get. I know several of y'all have been there before. It's a great time. We're going to have our old standbys where our founding fathers are featured, and we're going to be featuring 3 or 4 other families. I'm not going to tell you who it is, so you got to come out and see who they are. Also, that's on the 24th. 14th of December is our Wreaths Across America. We are still short wreaths for both Lone Oak and Shady Oak. So if the public wants to help with that, you can either purchase them at our office or you go to wreathsacrossamerica.com and choose Lone Oak. I believe they're $15 a piece or a package deal for more. So if you can help us out with some wreaths, that would be great. And I'm glad Christian's here with all his people because this part affects Shady Oak. We have had a volunteer, Alan Foote. He's a map maker. He has gone out and he has totally made a map of Shady Oak along with all the grave sites. Most people don't know the history of Shady Oak was lost when Dabney burned down. So there's not a whole lot left of it. So now that we have a record of all the graves out there, we're going through Lone Oak and Shady Oak, and we're GPSing every grave site. So you can use the GPS apps on your phone, like Grave Finder and all that. If you're doing genealogy, looking for your family history, it's going to make it real easy for people to find their loved ones if they're looking for them and have a good record. So, We had a couple of wind events out there at Shady Oak, but the flag has been fixed. Some trees have been cut down. We had another one. I'm sure we got more to do out there, but we're trying to keep it, both of them looking good. So anyway, please come out and support us next week and in December. Thank you.
Excuse me, what was the name of the gentleman? No, the name of the person who's doing the GPS.
Oh, did you call me back? Oh,
What was the name of the person who's doing the GPS?
our staff is doing it.
Oh.
And then we download it.
You said a name, though.
Grave Finders. There's multiple apps for doing locations. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get them all in there, but working towards it. We got a whole bunch of them. So.
You said something, Alan Foote. I think that was it. Yeah.
Good
Thank
evening, Dr. Erica Jasper. I just want to give kudos to the electric department and the public works department for such an expeditious job doing the aftermath and the cleanup after Hurricane Milton. I just want to say thank you so much also to the city manager as well for dealing with the issue with Lake Griffin, and also to Mayor Burry. Thank you for coming to check on our neighborhood in the Carver Heights area. There was extensive flooding in the area on Talladega, Johns Avenue, Georgia, Nebraska, and also Stinson Street, I believe so. So thank you for being there when our commissioner wasn't there, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Portier. I have a business on Pine Street. I was just coming to see if you could consider a dumpster on the end where the lounge is, between the 4 businesses that we can, because we already pay for a trash, but when they have something at the lounge, or it gets full, and if we don't put it out by the road, which it doesn't look good, it doesn't get picked up, the trash. So between the 4, if we can just get one dumpster, if you will consider that.
I will talk to Cliff. We will see what we can do.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Athea Lenz, and I am the owner of Cotton's Kitchen. Since the road construction, where I am so grateful for, on the side of my the restaurant where what I call my parking lot is flooded. Since the road construction, even the dumpster truck driver, he has trouble coming in and out of there. And the more he comes in and out, the deeper it's getting. So I just wanted to know if I could get some dirt or something, or whatever you could do to fill that spot, because even it's not safe for him either, So who?
We got it.
All right, Cliff. Well, I will talk to Cliff about it, okay? But all I want is some dirt. That's it. All right?
Good evening. My name is Kelly Vayu, and I am here tonight. I'm new to this arena, but I'm here tonight to represent SALT Outreach, Inc., and I'm representing, they're a nonprofit who have, for the last 12 years, been serving the unsheltered, we like to call them, rather than homeless, of the greater Orlando area. Great success. Things have really been happening down there, and we are looking to bring an outpost center up here to Lake County, specifically in this area. So you'll see on the flyer that part of the mission is comprehensive mobile drop-in centers. They do that through shower trailers. Here in our area, we have a lot of feeding programs, and so I think that's wonderful, but some of the other services are greatly lacking. So this takes care of showers, laundry facilities, as well as counseling. Outreach coordinating, and case management, so helping people to transition from unsheltered status to low reasonable housing is something that we do in the Orlando area. We're hoping to be able to partner and do some of that up here as well. You can see the success on here. It kind of speaks for itself. But the other side talks about our goal of bringing it here to Lake County. We have an $80,000 startup cost, which includes the cost of a brand new trailer. We are 90% funded already. So, in fact, we've already got the trailer on location. We just need to get the rest of our startup costs to get going. We're hoping to have it ready for the next outreach that Friends of the Homeless will be doing next month. So we're getting close to that. But I just wanted to raise the awareness and let you guys know I've been working with Lake County Housing. I think her name is Maria. Been working with her a little bit, and they're very supportive in what we're doing, but I wanted to let you guys know about it. I do have a few extra flyers if anyone else in the room is interested. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, commissions, mayor, everyone in their respectable places. My name is Carmen Rogers, and I know that there's been some ordinances passed recently concerning the homeless, or the disenfranchised, I like to call them. But anyway, to make a long story short, I just started a nonprofit. I have all of my paperwork in order. I have a state-funded, well, not state-funded, not yet. Anyway, but I have a nonprofit, and I am trying to make sure that when we're going out to feed and serve the homeless, that we are not arrested, because I've never been behind bars other than as a correctional officer, and I don't plan to go behind them now as anything but a correctional officer and go correct some other people. But anyway, that's something that is very concerning to me, because I know a lot of laws have passed, some things are changing, but I need to make sure that we are safe when we're going out to serve our people in this community. There is a homeless problem in this community. I don't care what anybody says. Friends of the Homeless goes out, Miss Krishada, and she feeds about anywhere from 50 to 85 people every single Monday. I go out 2 to 3 times a week, and I feed several people. Also, Linda Mobley, who goes to my church, she also goes out and feeds several times a week. So we have a homeless problem in Lake County, Florida, and we want to make sure that we're able to continue to do the vision and the plan that we have set out. What I've started my nonprofit to do is to help to eradicate homelessness one person at a time, one family at a time. If the things that happen to some of them happen to some of us in this room, we could be in that exact same position. But thank God that we aren't there. So anyway, my mission is to eradicate homelessness one family at a time. My vision is we are committed to improving the lives of the homeless, restoring dignity to those we serve. We will provide hot meals to those in our community who are in need. And I just want to make sure that's not going to be a problem. And I'm going to just give you all a copy of all of my credentials, so you'll have them in file. So they'll know not to bother Carmen Rogers.
Good afternoon. My name is Trelawney Montoot, and my residence is 816 Georgia Avenue. I've been living there for about 25 years. I purchased my home. Me and my family live there, and I come to talk about the concerns of this neighborhood now and the state that it's in. We live in a flood area, and I've been dealing with flooding for since I've been there, okay? And Milton, this is the devastating flood we ever had. My kids only have me. I'm their mother and their father. And if my home would have been taken away by flooding, I could have did nothing. We would have just been homeless. I've complained to the city of Leesburg, wanting them to fix the flooding problem there for a while. I have documentation, I have video, I have pictures. This last flooding, we had to literally rip the drain the top of the drain off the drain so that we can relieve some of the water that was around our houses. Our gates, me and my neighbor gate, is about this high. The water was about this high on his side, and it was about this high on my side. I thought we was gonna flood out. I have damages to my gate, the brand new gate that the city of Leesburg has granted me with. It's broken, it's leaning to the side. City of Leesburg came out and tried to relieve the water, and they put sandbags on the side of the gate. That brought pressure inside my gate. So the gate broke, and the water did not go outside the gate because of the sandbags. It wasn't draining. We have a drainage problem in our neighborhood. They're clogged. The trees are bad. They're overlapping the streets. They're clogging the drains. We don't have any lights. My son, Jeremiah Montu, he has seizures. There's no lights outside my house. As far as I have cameras around my house. So if he was to go out the door, I don't know where he's going. I don't know where he's at or which way he's went, because there's no lighting out there. And this has been going on for 27 years, almost. One of the neighbors said she's been here. In the first year she was there, it flooded. The city of Leesburg knows this is going on. I don't want to go into my old age with my house being flooded like this. I don't want to do that. I need for the city of Leesburg to rectify this. Okay? The damages that was done to my house, I have a shed in the back of my house. I have about $2,500 worth of furniture in that shed. It's flooded. It's no good. No good. I work hard. I am a CNA and I drive school buses. I've been doing this for over 25 years. And I've worked hard for what I have, and to have it flooded out, that is ridiculous. When the city of Leesburg could have rectified this before this storm, because they knew about this and took care of it, and they didn't. They overlooked it. I have video from where, like I say, I have cameras around my house. So when I'm notifying the Public Works Department, the guy, when we flooded out, the guy came by the house, he didn't even stop. Didn't even look at the drains, just kept going. I have a video of that. I am tired. I'm tired of being scared whether my house is going to be here today or tomorrow. I am tired. I pay my taxes like everybody else, and I want this to be rectified. That's all I have to say.
Any other public comment?
Yes.
All right. We'll move on to item 5. That's the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the item or items from the consent agenda. 2, vote on remaining items with 1 roll call vote. And 3, discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Is there anything anyone wants to pull?
5B1 and 5C1.
5C1 and 5B1. All right. Anything else?
Make a motion to approve all remaining items. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce 5B1.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Excuse me. Purchase request for the purchase of 3 Ford Explorer SUV 4x2 vehicles from Duval Ford LLC for the City of Leesburg Police Department in the total amount of $111,978. Duval Ford LLC is the contract holder for the Central Florida region under the Florida Sheriff's Association contract, hashtag FSA 24-VEL32-0.
Move for approval.
Second.
I pulled this just because I wanted to see, is there not a way to get a bid from a local dealership by Key Scales or Prestige versus an out-of-town dealership?
Rob Hicks, Deputy City Manager. There is, they have the opportunity to get on the state contract and the sheriff's contract. Prestige did it years ago. It was very difficult to get the quantity of vehicles because everybody's doing on them. On both the sheriff's contract and the state contract, it is the easiest way to make sure you're getting the vehicles on time and at the right price because they don't have to be negotiated out. So any of the local dealers are certainly welcome to get on there. So
I was just trying to support local, so.
yeah, and we do too. And if
I understand.
there's a situation where if we find a single or a couple of vehicles on the lot with a better price, we absolutely go with
Gotcha.
those.
Understand. Thank you. That's it for me, sir.
That's it. Any other questions on that? Roll call on that?
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson? Yes. Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce 5C1.
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, approving a mural sign for placement on the side of the building on a parcel owned by Star 5 Properties, Inc., and operating as Checkers Restaurant, being located at 2508 Citrus Boulevard in Section 10, Township 19 South, Range 24 East in Leesburg, Florida, and providing an effective date.
For approval for discussion.
Second.
So I pulled this. It says the exhibit shows a typical design in discussion with the sign company. A design specific to Leesburg is anticipated. I would prefer to see the anticipated design prior to us approving this. And then secondly, I thought all of our public arts have to go through the review committee that we assigned that didn't go through that committee, the public arts committee that we all appointed a person to. It did not go through that committee. And I would, if they're going to put a mural up there, I would prefer something that ties a little more into Leesburg versus, what the current artwork is. So I would like to see that happen.
Anna, can you put that up? Okay. Thank you, Anna. This has no business on 27 in Leesburg. I mean, I'm all for murals, but this is so out of character for the middle of our town, it's pitiful. The mural we have down by I think it's the Duke Transfer Station or whatever, by Center Street, that's beautiful. I mean, it fits right in. But this, in the middle of our town, I don't care if it says we love Leesburg. This is horrible. I mean, I don't think it even ought to move forward here. I don't think we need to go to the arts board or whatever, the committee that Alan's referring to. This just needs to be stopped now. I mean, I don't see we can even entertain this.
I think art is subjective, and I agree with you. I don't really like this, but I would like to see if our arts board can maybe work with the applicant to.
Well, if they want to come back for a
get something going,
redesign,
yeah.
but I don't think there's anything on here they can even work with.
Just as some background why this made your desk. Obviously, I think the intention there was that it was going to be a We Love Leesburg. So this got to my desk on Tuesday prior to the storm from the Planning and Zoning Department. We haven't had an Arts Board meeting, I don't think, almost since its inception.
I believe you're right.
Since we had the issue with the Arts Committee. I'll leave it at that. So really, in my haste to get this moving, to get an answer one way or another, in preparation for the storm, I left it on this agenda. Okay, so I think you have a couple options. Okay, you can instruct it to be sent back to the Arts Board, or you can kill it now, and if you do that, we'll just get back with the applicant and say, we didn't like your picture, and if they want to move forward with some other concept, we'll bring back to the Arts Board.
Well, that's what I would recommend. Just stop this whole thing here now and let them completely redesign, because there's nothing on there that I could even begin to work with for the middle of our town.
I'm not an artist. I do appreciate art. I'm not sure.
Well, I appreciate
that
art.
would-
I appreciate art too, Mayor, but this is not appropriate for the location.
I won't go that far, but I would say that we have an art board that is made up of people who know something about art.
Well, I mean, art's in the
so-
eye of the beholder. I
That's
agree, but I think you got to look at. Do you really want this? We're trying to beautify 27, not this. I mean, this just does not fit into anything.
This is Checkers, right? Is that up on,
Yes.
across from Walmart?
Yes.
Okay, so, again, I would rather just see it kick back to the art board. That's their job, and let them discuss whether it's how they feel about it. That's who I want.
If the art board says no, then we kick it back to the applicant.
That's correct.
Well, no, I mean, one way or the other, it's coming back to commission, right?
Correct, yes.
I mean, the arts board's not going to approve this nonsense,
No,
right?
that's incorrect. That's incorrect.
That is incorrect.
If the arts board likes it, then it would be approved.
Then absolutely not. Then we can't take that chance. Come on now.
So even though the arts board approves it, it still comes back to us for final approval, just like everything else does, because they're an advisory committee.
That's how the
I
arts
think the
board
arts is
works.
advisory. Historic
Yeah,
is
they're an
different.
advisory.
I think art's different, but I could be wrong.
We'd have to double check.
Al's-
Like I
Al's
said,
putting doubt in my mind here.
again, we put that together with the thought that they were going to approve murals for downtown. And then when the art center went through the situation, we never really tested it. And so that's been X years ago. So I have to admit, my art board recollection is quite rusty.
Well, do we even know? I mean,
thought
that was
they
2
were
years ago. Is there
advisory
even
board.
anybody on the
I
arts board
thought
that's even
they
still
were
thinking
an
involved?
advisory
There are. I
board.
think they did some
The only
appointments on that.
one that I know has some differences is really the historic because of the participation and the historic certifications and all of
The arts
that.
board is set up.
I
my
think
recollection,
art,
Just like the airport.
just like the airport board, just like the recreation board, they don't spend money, they don't go out and do things, they make suggestions and it comes through us. And that's what I'd like to see this. I'd like to see this come through the art board. If they don't like it, maybe they can work with Checkers to get something a little different that would be approved. But that's why we have the art board.
A little different.
Well, again, in the eye of the beholder.
Well, yes, but
Well, we always have a liaison to the arts committee, so I think it should be Commissioner Cannell.
there you go.
Allison's the liaison.
I'm sitting here listening. I said, I'm the representative on the board, and we definitely have been meeting and discussing.
Well, and the arts board
But-
is different than the public arts
Yes.
board, just for clarification.
So that's why I'm sitting here listening.
Each of
But-
us commissioners appointed someone to that public arts advisory board.
So it'd be my suggestion that we refer this to that board, looking for a recommendation back to us from them before anything is approved.
yeah, I think that's okay to certainly clarify that the commission wants to see this back and we can just check the code again and make sure. I thought it was an advisory board as well.
The code doesn't say that. We need to change that, if we can change that.
Yes, sir, we'll take a look at that.
So, in that case, we're going to have a roll call,
We should make a motion to
Yeah,
table.
motion.
well, you want to table the resolution? That's probably
There's a
better.
motion on the floor
I was-
right now to approve it.
Right, it would
So
be
why
a
don't you
no.
make a motion to table it to
So-
time certain, and that will supersede your motion.
I'll make a motion to table it till time certain, so City Manager Minner can get with the Public Arts Board and go from there.
Second.
Any discussion?
Clarification. We're going to table this, but if we find the arts board has the authority to approve this, then I'm not for it.
I think we just agreed on that.
Okay, I didn't hear that in the motion.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. No, after
Okay.
all that, we agreed we'd come back here.
Okay.
We just said amend the rules or.
Right.
Do we have any staff members on that board?
No.
The
I think
arts-
we made the arts director.
Richard Colvin
chairman.
is the
liaison.
chairman.
It's 6 people,
That's correct.
7 people. I think 7 total.
It's one, I thought it was
Well,
one.
one per
One
commissioner.
per commissioner.
Yes.
And I appointed Richard,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so, Al, can I get an update from you, though, when you finally reach out to these
Absolutely.
5 members, if they're even active anymore, since it's been years since we've utilized them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Did we get a second for that, Andy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So roll call. This is on the.
Table.
To table it, correct.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. All right. We'll move on now to item 6, public hearings and non-routine items. Would someone please introduce item 6A1?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, creating Section 2-8 of the city's Code of Ordinances entitled Control of Access to City-Owned, Controlled, and Leased Property, establishing a process to designate facilities as public forums, limited public forums, or non-public forums, establishing trespass notice for public property, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion. Questions? We talked about this in depth. Grant, if you would, just a quick, for anybody in the public who may not have heard.
Sure. Yes, sir. Yeah, this particular ordinance really is, the goal of this is to establish some limitations in terms of public property here. There are obviously areas of City Hall that are used for employee workspaces that are not necessarily open public forums for everyone to come to. And so the idea here really is sort of in line with what the city had been working on with the badges and setting up some restrictions to access in some areas of city facilities, is just to basically set that system up formally. This really is a copy of what the county did with county facilities, so there's essentially no change or difference from what the county does, and gives the city manager some authority to just sort of set up some limitations inside the buildings when public meetings are not ongoing, so that people aren't disrupted in their work, and people can have meetings with city staff as needed and that type of thing. So that's really what this is about. It also sets up a trespass process as well. That would allow people to be trespassed from public property, gives them procedures for appealing that process as well if they do get swept up in that. So they have their process to come back and challenge anything that they believe was wrongfully done in terms of removing them from any facilities.
Thank you, Grant. Any questions from the commission? Is there any public comment on this? No public comment? We'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Berry? Yes. Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Someone please introduce 6A2.
I'll introduce 6A2 to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, amending Chapter 15, Article 1, General Offenses, to create Section 15-7 entitled Public Camping or Sleeping, prohibiting unauthorized camping at any time within the city, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion from anyone? Again, Grant, if you'd give us a quick.
Yes, sir. As we had talked about in first reading, there was a new state law that essentially does not allow a county or a city to authorize or otherwise allow public camping or public sleeping to occur on public property. So basically, this ordinance is the city does not currently have any prohibition against public camping or public sleeping on the books. So the purpose of this ordinance was to essentially put something in the code that would allow the city to remain compliant with the new requirements of the law. This is a slightly different flavor than we had at first reading. The difference between this version and the first reading is this version has built in sort of a notice warning system kind of as a first step to really try and figure out a way to, de-escalate the situation, resolve it without resorting to any other means. From there it moves on to a citation, and sort of the consequences can get harsher from there. But really the goal is to allow the city to be compliant with the state law requirements in terms of having a mechanism to prohibit or at least not allow or otherwise authorize public camping or public sleeping, but also to give law enforcement really as many options as we can to try and address that situation in as humane a way as we can.
Thank you, Grant. Any questions for Grant on that from anybody?
I have a question. This is on public and private property, or just public?
This is on public property.
No, private.
That's correct, right? So the prohibition is that it's unlawful for a person to engage in public camping or sleeping on public property.
Once again, Carmen Rogers, 128 North 7th Street, Leesburg, 34748, right out the back door. Once again, what are we going to do to help alleviate the people who really, truly don't have a place to live? They don't have a house. So they are going to sleep on the sidewalk at the park. I can go to the park and take a nap right now. I don't want to go to jail for it, but I could do it because I'm tired. I had a long day. I've been up since 4 something. What are we going to do? What are we putting in place to change the situation as opposed to making more ordinances to make the state law happen? What we need to do is we need to find a way to get the people off the street. We need to put some money, we need to put money to good use as opposed to what we're going to take up jail space now. We're going to incarcerate individuals who are homeless. Well, how is that helping us any? We're still paying for it as taxpayers, but only we're paying more now because now we got to give them medical care. Now we've got to give them 3 hots and a cot. We got to pay somebody to lock and turn those keys. I know they don't turn them like they used to back in the day, but you know what I mean. What are we going to do to alleviate the problem? Making more ordinances is not the way to help our situation in this city. This is not the way. I'm sitting here, I'm trying to be nice, but we have a homeless issue that needs to be addressed. Let's get the organizations that's already out here feeding. Y'all wrap around us with Salt, Kelly with Salt. I was going to actually bring them up. I was so glad to see her here, so then I didn't have to talk about that. I could use all my time for something else. But this is going to be a comprehensive program that's going to help get people off the street. Just putting them in a jail cell is not going to fix the problem. When you let them out, guess where they're coming back to? Let's talk about Miss Diane Kajowski. Miss Diane, I took her to Orlando, put her on an Amtrak train to New York City to her family. A month later, Diane, somebody called me, they said, Miss Carmen, you are not going to believe it. I said, believe what? Miss Diane is back in Leesburg. I said, you got to be joking me, because I put her on the Amtrak personally, missed my family's funeral to put her on it, member funeral to put her on that train. What are we going to do to help? Because this right here isn't helping.
Well, to answer a little bit of your question, what we are addressing with this ordinance is a state law that goes into effect October 1st. Been in effect for a couple of weeks. So we are not, we're not going out on our own saying this is how we feel about it. We're trying to comply with the state of Florida.
In your complying, though, you are not helping. We need some help for the people. We need to get the people someplace to live.
Well, that's a good suggestion, because in Lake County we have no beds for the homeless.
Exactly.
That's a fact.
That's my point. What are we going to do as opposed to just sitting here making ordinances? That's not helping anybody. Okay, so I appreciate you all trying to obey the state law, but I don't appreciate you not fixing or giving us a solution. The homeless need a solution.
My name is Linda Gallett, and I have spent 7 years working with the homeless of our community. We have done feeding programs, we've done showers, we've done clothing, we've gotten many hundreds of them immunized against hepatitis, against tetanus, against flu, COVID, all kinds of things with the help of Lake County. And I'm just very concerned about this law. And when Governor Dukakis first signed it, it was to provide for help. And there was supposed to be a campsite within each town where the people could go, they could put up their tents, and they would provide mental health assistance, drug assistance. They would have porta potties for them, whatever, and they would set up this camp, and they could stay in this camp. Well, it seems like Leesburg is tweaking the rules a little bit, and I don't know if any of you have been camping with your families before, but when the day comes to pack up and go home, it takes more than the 60 minutes that we're going to give the homeless to move to put away your sleeping bag, your air mattress, your tent, your cooler, all your belongings, and move to the next place. You just throw it in the trunk and go home. While they're doing this, they're thinking, where can I go, where can I go? And it's said in that report that Leesburg does not have any public spaces that they can set up a camp-type setting for them to be to. So when the policeman comes by and says, excuse me, when the policeman comes by and says, okay, you have to move. You can't stay here. You're on public property. You have to move. Where do they go? If everywhere there's not one space that we can use for a camp for them, where do they go? Leesburg is a big, big town. I know because I've fed people as far away as Haynes Creek. I've fed people down to 27 and 48. I've fed people up to Fruitland Park. It's a big city. And where are they supposed to go? We have fed up to the record right now stands at 94 people in one day. I mean, there are a lot of homeless people. I
understand.
I don't know what your point of service number was for last year, but those are never really a good sign of how many homeless there are. And they're not all scary, drug addict, freaky people. There's some really charming people out there. There are people who have worked hard jobs and their wife gets breast cancer and they leave their job. They lose their job. They lose their house. They end up on the street. No spouse, no job, no home, on the street.
Yes, ma'am.
It's really, really sad. So I don't know, 60 minutes to move on to nowhere. I think it needs a little bit more thought. Thank you.
I'm not sure how this works. Do I have to say my name?
Your name?
Okay, it's Kimberly DeRoche. And the law you are referring to is HB 1365, yes?
Yes.
Okay. It does say that, I'm sorry, I can't read with my glasses on. Reach that age. It says that you have to provide temporary shelters monitored by law enforcement agencies. Homeless shelters will require the occupants to not use drugs, and they will also receive substance abuse and mental health treatments.
That's what it says, if you set up the shelter. It also says that as a city, if we set up the shelter, it cannot be contiguous to a neighborhood,
Right.
any housing, and it cannot devalue anyone's property in that area. That's specific to the law.
Right.
So those two things preclude Leesburg. We don't have unoccupied space
Yeah.
that meets the criteria to even have a camp.
I understand that, and I hope this doesn't sound cold because I have also helped some homeless people as
Sure.
well. But I also have a lot of problems with homeless people because I live somewhere inside the city where when they're kicked out of one place, they like to come hang out at my house. And I usually take care of the problem myself. I've only ever had to call the police once. That's the other thing. You guys want to charge them a $500 fine every time, correct?
There are different enforcement mechanisms in there. The $500 fine would come after you've not complied with a warning, after you've been cited, and after you've returned after that to the same exact place. So it takes a little bit to get to that point. Because again, it would be the same exact location.
I mean, they likely don't have the ability to pay for a $500 fine. And our police really do not have the time to keep spending on this problem either. So I think, I understand what you're saying, but I think this needs to be taken to a bigger level, to the county or something, where we have to, everybody has to get together and figure out a proper facility, a place where we can all help and not hurt. It's not going to help anyone. What you're trying to do isn't going to help anyone. I understand that businesses are going through some things, and that's unacceptable. But I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but I know it's not pushing them outside the city and causing more problems for your residents and for them as well. So that's all. Thank you.
Kelly Vayu, again, just really quickly, I just want to tell you about two names, and I wish that I could have brought them both tonight so they could tell the story, but one of them is David. He's a man that comes to the Little House every week to receive the services that we provide there. And, David's already suffering from anxiety. That's part of what's contributing to his homelessness. And he told me last week when I saw him there that he said, I just can't sleep. I'm just over the top with my anxiety because I know that it's just a matter of time. I'm going to get a flashlight in my face and told to move. And where do I go? Just like we're saying, where do I go? And that's sad. It would be sad for any of us to live like that. Another young man that I met, his name is Mark. And him and his partner are going through a similar situation. He said, it's interesting that they want me to work, but they don't want me to sleep. So put that in perspective, because it's like, if a person is trying to hold down a little part-time job, where are they supposed to sleep? Just like where are they supposed to clean up? Hence the reason why we feel the shower trailer ministry is going to be a great asset to the area. But it's hard when we're looking at the whole picture, and I know you guys are looking at the whole picture, but we expect them to somehow, be responsible in society, but yet we take away whatever little bit that they may have with, being able to, like Linda said, pack their stuff up and leave and go where? So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
My name's Elizabeth Vernon, and I do have a ministry that tried to take care of some of the needs of the homeless. But I'm sitting here listening, and I'm an animal lover, and many of you probably are too. We have provided for the animals in our county and in our area. If there's an animal that's in need, we do have a shelter for them. If we can do this for an animal, why couldn't we do this for a human being? These are people that are human beings, that somebody gave birth to them. There's a mama and a daddy that was there in the process. There's brothers and sisters. There's children many times. Many of them have much things in their life. We only have a very small mental health clinic or thing here in our area, Life Streams. And I'm a retired nurse, and I have been in Life Streams. They're overwhelmed. It's a Band-Aid. We need more help for the people. We need a wraparound service where we can reach out to them. But just to close the doors of our city is not what we need. We need to really care. let it be known that Leesburg is a loving community. It's not only a beautiful community that reaches out to everyone, but it does something more than just what we're doing right now. Let's give them some place, a safe place to go, either a parking lot where they can, if some of them have, many of them have, went and are working 3 jobs and did buy a vehicle to live in. They have no place to park it. They have to keep moving that around. So please, I just beg you to think about how much you love your animals, love your human beings that are our neighbors, that they are our neighbors. Thank you.
Hello. My name's Benita Nestler. I'm at 1431 Beverly Shore, Beverly Point. And I am a taxpayer here in Leesburg, moved here, small community, thinks it's beautiful and love it and love that atmosphere. And the homeless situation is heartbreaking. It's a horrible thing, devastating for anyone that has to have that happen to them. But because I am a taxpayer and because this is a community, unfortunately, what's happening is the degradation of our lifestyle. So I am in full support of what you're doing and what the Governor DeSantis has put in place. We provide so much with Livestream. I was surprised at how much Livestream there is here. Livestream everywhere. And if people choose to do drugs and alcohol and not make lifestyle choices by changing their lives, I do not feel like I am responsible for those that choose to not go to a place where they can get help, and we do have ministries here that do provide help. So unfortunately, we had someone swimming down in Lake Griffin, totally dazed, could have been alligator bait, and there's all kinds of trash everywhere. It's a heartbreaking situation, but I don't believe it's the right thing for us to condone this behavior. And by feeding and housing and not giving them resources to change, it's the wrong avenue. So that's my say as a taxpayer here, and I don't, I'm sorry. A ministry of Jesus Christ, change your life, that will do it. And that's all I can say. So there you be.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any comments from the commission? Roll call.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Yes.
Commissioner Reisman?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Berry?
Yes.
Mayor Burry?
Yes. Moving on to item 6B, first reading of ordinances, we have none. 6C, we have no routine items. Informational reports, any questions from anyone? No? How about city attorney items?
No reports, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
And that would come to city manager items.
Well, I'll be as brief as possible. Obviously, let me update the commission and the public here this evening on the efforts in recovery from Hurricane Milton. I would say in the almost 11 years that I've been in Leesburg, Hurricane Milton was obviously the biggest storm that we have seen in my time here. And from some of the longtime employees that have worked with us, Hurricane Milton is the biggest storm that they have seen as well in the region. It's obviously the next significant impact that we had was probably, I would say, Hurricane Irma, which was September 2017. So there's really no way to underscore the storm that Milton was for Leesburg. I think it was clearly a 500-year storm. We sustained significant winds, flooding in some isolated areas, and a lot of different issues. So let me just kind of run down the list a little bit. And I'm going to start, obviously it came up this evening, the flooding problem in Talladega and Alabama in that area. Obviously that was a very critical area. We have worked in that area. I think it was back in 2000, far before my time in Leesburg. We did do some initial work in there. We got a CDBG grant. And so the reason with the start of when you have a storm that's a 500-year storm, building a drainage system to a 500-year storm is not practical. And so that's why when these type of situations arise, it becomes so catastrophic. That doesn't underscore the calamity that the families feel or see, or the fear or the damage that's a result of that. But what it is in our business and municipal government, it is impractical to build a system that's going to absorb damages that you receive once in a while. And once in a while, even the speaker said they've been here for 20 some odd years, and this was the biggest storm. Please hear those words. We're all struggling with that. So really, the first thing that we will be doing as a result of Milton is going back to our engineers, trying to figure out how we make a better solution for that area. So those issues did not go unseen. The city invested in that property. Obviously, with the home grant, we want that area to be successful. We know it has issues. I don't think anybody suspected that when you get 12 inches of rain in 6 hours that we're going to be problem-free. Or see, and on the same token, see damage in a particular area that's catastrophic. So we heard the speaker. We'll address it. The first address is getting with our engineer, which we'll be doing this week. Cliff, if you haven't talked to Keith Riddle yet, I'm sure it's next on his list. So that process will be, we will contract with Keith Riddle. If that amount is under 50 grand, you won't see the contract come before you because I will just approve it. If Keith's design contract is over 50 grand, you will see that contract become for you. We will go right to Keith Riddle on that one because he's our design consultant in-house. It will save time and we can get a design started. Upon completion of that design, we'll be back with you trying to figure out how we pay for the improvements. Don't know what the improvements are. My knee-jerk reaction from experience or from talking with Cliff is probably some sort of expanded retention area that we have to design. The lakes in Berry Park typically were designed to hold this type of water, as well as the lakes that's behind the trail. Those were designed for this type of water, but they were overwhelmed with the water. So we'll have to go back and look at different designs and ways that we can move out massive amounts of stormwater. It may be absorbing some of those empty properties and turning those into retention areas and the like. So that's really job one post-storm, is figuring out a solution for that. Other flooding around the area in the community wasn't as significant as that. And other than that area, I think we probably would have a pass as far as flooding goes. Probably the next significant issue that we had, saw a lot about it about Facebook, spent probably about an hour with Reporter last night, was the situation at the canal treatment plant. And I provided the commission a detailed report on that. I think I did that Friday or Saturday night. So let me just talk real briefly about what occurred there. Again, I can't underscore how significant Milton was. 12 inches of rain in that 4-hour span. That's a lot of rain, you guys. That's a catastrophic storm. That's a 500-year storm. 500-year storm meaning you only see that once every 500 years. So having said that, the situation at the plant was twofold. It just took on too much water too fast. That plant's capacity, the canal treatment plant, is capacity of 3.5 million gallons a day. We typically process in that plant about 2.2 million gallons of water a day. So obviously our operating norms and the capacity are significantly under. So that means the plant operates correctly in normal times. Milton, again, not a normal time. So what happened? About midnight, The power went out. The generator kicked on. I put together in that report, there's a picture of kind of how everything flows. So water comes into the plant at the head wall, which is really right off 441. So when you drive past it and you see that little place that makes the cemetery stones, right next to that to the west, that's where the head wall to the plant is. So all the wastewater from core Leesburg and the west side of Leesburg goes into that plant, about 2.2 million gallons a day. At midnight, the power went off and the generator kicked on. But by midnight, we had received so much rain that groundwater inundated underground electric cables. And those electric cables go from the generator to the switch box, which is in the building in the basement, and where we sustained flooding. So what happened was the switch gear, the underground wiring sustained massive waters, so the electric current from the generator couldn't get to the switch. So we couldn't switch from online power to generating power because of I&I, inflow and infiltration. So you're going to hear me say I&I a couple more times tonight. So that is why the plant kicked offline. So when the plant kicked offline, the water built up, the water breached. Okay, it wasn't somebody pushing or pulling a valve and saying, we got to get water, let's just dump it. Water breached. At a peak, I think we hit about 7.5 to 8 MGD. So let me say that, let me run these numbers past you again. The plant took in 7.5 to 8 MGD at one point when the power was off, and we processed 2.2 with a nameplate capacity of 3.5. That means over 3 times the amount of water hit the plant at a critical junction. So wastewater spewed out. Credit goes to our wastewater folks because they were on the issue as best they could. And as that water breached out of the head walls, it flooded the building, then it moved to the north into a ditch, and then that ditch line carried it to the east towards Lake Griffin. The guys immediately got out hoses and pumps, and we tried to pump that water back into the headworks, kind of to repeat. So there's a cycle. So pump out, back, overflow, and that cycle repeated. In that process, we probably saved a couple 100,000 gallons of wastewater from going into the lake, but about 1.9 million did. By about 8 in the morning, we finally got power back on, and the breach was stopped. It was cleaned up. On the ground, we put out lime. The water that got into the lake, we couldn't do a whole lot with, but then we immediately self-reported. There's state regulations from DEP, and I don't know what the litmus test on it is. They changed those probably about 3 or 4 years ago to a certain gallonage where you have to report. Obviously, we were way above that. So it's an SOP. We self-reported. The next problem that happened is as the crew started going out, collecting wastewater, getting our lift stations back online. Many of our major lift stations have generation power, so they pump and they turn on, but many of our other lift stations don't. Again, to build to this level of storm, we complain about the price tags that we see now. So if we were building to a level of a 500-year storm, your hair would really be on fire. So long story short, we go out, though, and we rotate. Part of the standard operating procedures in an emergency situation like this is we go from lift station to lift station to lift station around the community, and we pump those down. As far as I know, Cliff, we had no lift station spillages. So that's a good thing because, I colloquially call it the lift station rodeo because we go around the horn and pump. So we did that successfully. But what that did was, as what more wastewater came in, everything's kind of a delay, like a flood. If you're downstream, the flood's up and it works down to you. The same in the plant. So we got in more water. And so we balanced out at a peak capacity that was going into the plant at 7 MGD, which we held for a couple days. So even though the plant got back up and we didn't breach the headworks anymore, The plant continued to process wastewater, and when it works that fast, we can't get to what we call a reuse quality of the reuse water. And so we have what we call a reject water. So reject water is pretty close to the quality of a reuse water, but not quite there yet. So in a normal time, what we do is we take that reject water, we put it in a big pond, and we feed it back into the plant. And so then it clears that, and then that clears out, and then we can move it off. And so now how we move it off is through our reuse process, and most of it now goes to the villages, but I digress. So that's the process. In this process, because the plant got so much wastewater in it, our reject pond began to build. And so what happened is there's a blow-off inlet that's in the pond. It gets to a certain level, and then the reject water comes up in the pond. It goes in that inlet through another pipe into the same ditch that I mentioned earlier, and then out to the west. So as that water, as waters continued from the system to come in and be processed, we had excess reject water. Again, we reported it to DEP. I would argue, like I said in my report, that reject water is really equivalent to, probably even better, to regular storm water that's hitting the lakes. So again, we reported that to DEP. I think it was about 1,400 hours yesterday that the plant settled out, started hanging around 5 MGD, and at 5 MGD, still double what we normally do. All the breaches, all the issues were stopped, all the things were cleaned up, and overall, I think we lost about 1.9 million gallons of wastewater. We saved a couple 100,000, and then we lost a couple 100,000 gallons of reject water that went into the lake. Again, reported. Let me throw a couple more numbers out at you, because I think one of the most important questions that the media asked me was, is wastewater contamination a problem? And the obvious answer to that is yes. Wastewater is, contamination is a problem. That's why we treat wastewater. But at this level, I don't anticipate that we're going to see any punitive damage. It was a cataclysmic storm, and it was an act of God. And really, our crews did a great job balancing the emergency and keeping it as minimal as possible. But then at those levels of wastewater that got out of the plant, no, I don't think you're going to see any contamination. It would be equivalent to your house. You have a 2,000 square foot house, and you spill chocolate milk on the brand new carpet. You clean it up, it's not an issue, and it only hit a couple of square inches of your 2,000 square feet. If you continue to spill chocolate milk on your carpet, then yeah, you got a problem. So the lake is the same way, in small incremental levels, Mother Nature takes care of itself. If we were spilling 1.9 million gallons of wastewater every day, 24/7, 365, it would be a problem. But the level of contaminant that got into the lake was, I'll throw out another number for you. We estimated that Lake Griffin is 3.8 billion gallons of water, okay, and we put in about 1.9 million. So that's 0.065%, just if you wanted to know the math. I think that's important to bring up because I think, again, the guys did a great job. I think there's always alarm when those type of things happened, but again, the calamity of the storm, it was a big deal. Let me finish up. I don't mean to be going on with those, but those were two important issues that I think needed to get covered properly. And I think at the end of the day, we'll probably work with DEP. If we got to find some other areas, we are receiving hopefully $19 million of funding. And so I'm sure we'll probably spend some of that $19 million at the canal plant. Not that it's not functioning properly, but there's always things to do. So again, I think a lot of credit to the guys, and again, the calamity of the storm. And I know threw out a lot of numbers at y'all, but those are important for reference points. Then the third thing I would point out is the electric recovery. Again, the size of the storm. I think too what makes Milton special in a bad way is how many onesies and twosies that we got. So long story short, at about 7 o'clock, we were down to 150 customers out. A lot of credit to the electric department for getting everything back up. We will continue to keep in touch with you. A lot of credit to some of the resources that we got in from mutual aid. And so if you're still out, we're very sorry. But I will say 57 hours into the event, we were 90% up, and that is a significant sign of a great operation. So a lot of credit to Brad and his guys out at the electric department, guys and ladies. Finally, debris will be getting picked up. If you have debris, get it out to the right-of-way. If you can get your stumps and big trees that might be in your backyard, if you can get those out to the right-of-way, we will get whatever you pick up. Some of the extremities have already been picked up in the town. The extremities, like I spoke with Commissioner Connell earlier, like Arlington Ridge, Legacy, those areas. Some of the newer subdivisions around town have been picked up in the Silver Lake area. Down South Leesburg are being picked up. So our focus is going to be kind of center core out. We started those operations today. We'll get everything picked up, that first pass, and we will continue to pick stuff up. So just encourage everybody to get your debris. Please keep your debris pile segregated. So if you've got that damaged couch or whatever you're going to throw out on the street, we prefer you not do that. But if you do, at least keep everything segregated. Other than that, I can't thank the department heads enough. I think, again, I think we were very well prepped. Joe did an excellent job with us as our emergency management director. I'm not going to mention everybody's name, but everybody, I think, did a fantastic job recovering. Of course, I'll answer any questions you all have and formalize stuff up. I don't have any numbers as far as costs yet. I understand the president declared that we were a disaster area. So we will start working, next phase is to start working all the paperwork to start getting the FEMA reimbursement, and we will report accordingly.
Any questions for Al? Roll call.
Commissioner Connell,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Reisman.
Couple things. Obviously, echo city manager with all the thank yous. Our staff and department heads did a really good job. Any updates? I know we don't talk about it tonight. Just can we get an update on what we requested for the security upgrades for the customer service downstairs in floor 1?
They're super quick. We are putting a glass wall up there. I think it goes up. It doesn't go all the way up to the ceiling, but that's in the works.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Pastor John and the CDC, for that informative update. I think us as a city, all the way, everyone, we can do a little, maybe improve on how we get so many good things happening in our city and all over our city out there. I think we have so much good happening in our city, and I think we could do better getting that information out there, because there was a lot of things that I had no idea that you guys were doing. So great job, and I think we can get some of those things on your list pretty quickly. And then we have a football game after this that we are the sponsor, so if you have the availability to come at halftime, they'll be recognizing us, and we get to go out and accept the plaque with all the team. And then lastly, this Saturday at the college is the Walk for Freedom walk to bring awareness for human trafficking in our country. With that, I'll end it there.
Commissioner Peterson.
I just want to thank all our city staff for all their efforts, specifically Public Works and Electric Department.
Commissioner Berry.
Yes, I'm going to try to make it brief. Actually, I had 3 things, but I'm just going to make 2. First, I'd like to make a comment on the meeting that I missed last month, September 23rd, when there was a discussion brought up about the CRA money owing to the electric company. I truly appreciate it, with the not knowing anything about the subject matter, totally nothing about, related to District 1 in my absence, that it was discussed. I don't think that was the best practice. I know this is my only opportunity to share my feelings, saying that there was a discussion made without the CRA commissioners or myself being here. Not knowing about it, I understand that it was a note from some time ago for the building of the resource center, and I realized that it's important, but I didn't realize it was an emergency or something that we needed to do to replace as soon as possible, because that's been how many years? I mean, Alan, for resource center being built?
5?
More than that.
It's more than 5.
6.
Yeah.
7 or 8.
But anyway, I just felt that read it through the notes and the discussion. I didn't think it was a good practice to be discussing processes and means of maybe amending our budget that we just approved and voted on, that maybe go back to, without giving the CRAs and myself as a commissioner an opportunity to discuss or even share the desires that we have for developing the community. I think it's important that I share this because I believe in working together, and I think we're a great group. But if I didn't say anything, you would never know where I was, and I can't do it one-on-one, so I have to do it public. I hope that this won't happen again, and I would never do it to any one of you all if discussing something with your district without your presence. So just in a lighter note, I had to let you know where I'm standing with this. I know that I'm a team player, and I'm still learning. And I appreciate each one of you all because you help me for things that I need to know. So just wanted to let you know where I was with this, and I hope that this doesn't happen again. On a lighter note, I want to say kudos to, again, all of the department heads and their staff, and a special thanks to the 2 Corys in the gas department for assisting me with an issue on Saturday after hours. So thank you again. Al, I thank you for the updates that you provided from the minute on, from 7 a.m. I think I was talking to you Thursday on till I probably worked your nerves, but guess what? We got it done, and I was getting responses from residents and constituents saying thank you, our power's on. Like, I didn't have any control, but I was letting them know what the city's doing, the process, how it worked, explain it to them. I still would then share that with Al. He'll say done, done. Everything was like a check mark, done. So I want to say great. I've never experienced this before. This was a learning process, and I can say it ran pretty smooth. I don't know of any hookups, and the updating that the commissioners had, the information to get out to the community was perfect, and thank you.
Mayor Burry?
Nothing tonight.
Can I just say one thing to Allison Berry? That was me. I brought that up, and I know we can't discuss it. It was a last-minute thing because we were approving the budget, and when I talked to the city manager about that. So I do apologize because I know you weren't here at that meeting, but we did decide to table it for a future discussion with the CRA and the commissioners.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I do accept apologies.
Yeah.
But we are allowed to discuss issues. We're elected by district, but we represent the entire
Correct,
city.
but
So there's a fine line here. I
Yeah,
just wanna
we
be
can't
sure we're
talk
all clear.
individually, but we can talk here.
No, but we have a right to talk about issues that are citywide with the commissioner missing.
But I respect her opinion on that.
But we
and
did table it.
We did table it for a future discussion. So, but I see her point.
I'm going to leave it there. It's not a right or anything. It's just a level of respect, I think. That's where I'm coming from. So I accept the apology.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry, Mayor.
That's all right. Nothing from me.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a
See you at the football game.
Okay.